The Sea House Records Podcaster, yeah.
Life's hot on a Monday morning. You and I would rather be in bed. We go our separate ways and kill time on something else instead. Yeah. I'll buy the golden ticket, win big and set us up for life. What you gonna do with the money, baby? A shortcut out of here. You've got the keys, I've got the knife. What you gonna do with the money, baby? You and I are all we own, stuck beneath the buried treasure, flying someone else's kite, hoping for a change in weather, moving back and forth in time, dancing under our own pressure, knowing silence is the word to be understood. We smile and plan a future, write books, but only in our minds. Rob banks and invent machines that can change the nature of these crimes. What you gonna do with the money,
Welcome indeed to the Sea House Records podcast, August 2023. This is Emker Cel and I am Emker Cel, and you've just listened to my song Understood. This podcast is all about that song. One song. I know it's going to be quite a ride. It's going to be completely self-indulgent. So if you want to go now, that's all right. I don't mind. We're going to go right back to the demos and look at how we arrived at this, the single version which was released this year. The song will also be featured in a slightly different form on my upcoming album, You Are Everything You Are. So where did it all start? Well, like most of my songs, it started instrumentally rather than anything else. And in this case, it started with a piano riff, this thing. A little bit clumsy there, Matt. Anyway, it's quite rhythmic. And you're not quite sure as an intro where the beat is, which is something that I wanted to achieve. It's just got this bass line with the chord coming in between, and it's the chord that moves, like a minor chord to a funny sus with a clash, and then this thing, and the chords are very, very tight, quite claustrophobic sounding. There's quite a lot of tension in there. So I had that for a while, and I thought, well, that's quite a good thing to have, and just to keep coming back to it and use that as a verse. That's cool. I needed a B section to go to, really. I didn't want a chorus. daft as it sounds, this is a song without a chorus, but I did want a middle, and I was listening to a lot of, I think, early McCartney and maybe some Wings stuff at the time, and also Pink Floyd, early 70s Pink Floyd, and they had quite a lot of this pedal note stuff going on in the left hand with changing chords in the right hand. So it'd be like a D minor over a C, quite nice and mysterious, and over a B flat. So that became my B section, and I was to put the two things together. But no matter what I came up with, I couldn't find a guitar part that fit nicely over this. Bass and drums I had ideas for, but there was nothing guitar that stuck out. And I thought for a while it was going to be one of those piano, bass and drum kind of trio songs. Ben Folds 5 or something like that. But that all soon changed. I was working as a music technology tutor at the time, and the college I was working for wanted to send me on some training, some subject-specific training. And you have a look online and you think, oh, right, okay, what have we got? And there's online seminars and things like that you can attend. Nothing that you can't get from a book, really, although those things are okay. I'd rather have something hands-on, I thought, something in person. This was pre-COVID, by the way, none of those worries. And so what I did was, rather cheekily and with hope more than anything, I contacted the band Field Music, who I'd been following for quite a while, and I'd met them and I'd seen them in concert quite a few times, and asked them if they'd be up for this, if they'd wouldn't mind having a day in their studio with me, showing me tips and tricks, I suppose. And unbelievably, they said yes. And so this is where the journey of this song really took off. Because what I did was go up to their studio in Sunderland and spend a day with them recording a demo for this song. We used the demo for this song as the basis for me to learn how to record better. So I looked at recording techniques for different instruments, and then afterwards looked at the addition of effects and processing and mixing techniques and mastering techniques as well. We fit quite a lot into a day, but for me the best thing to come out of it was, of course, the demo for this song, which I was to then bring home and use as the basis to recreate. So shall we have a listen to what we did that day? Yes, let's do that. So what happened first in the studio is that we set up microphones on piano, stereo mics on the back of an upright piano, and then mic'd up the drum kit, and that would be the live basis for recording the structure of the song. So I'm playing piano, and Peter Brewis is on the drums, and we did about half a dozen takes of the song, and here's one of them. So the first thing I notice about this is the pace, really. I'm not quite there with the tempo of it. The song does need to be faster, not by much, but it's a little bit slow on this demo. Hearing this now is taking me back to when we played it. I was in a totally separate room to Peter, couldn't see him, so we're just communicating by mics and headphones. It's not bad considering, is it? on this middle section here, you can hear ride cymbal, which was what I thought I wanted at the time. And then what Peter suggested in his words was to Ringo it, which was to do that thing that Ringo did in the Beatles where he'd play the hat and the snare on each beat, just really solid. We're getting a bit of that now at the moment. We're getting a bit of snare but on the ride as well, but I think snare and hat together was what we ended up doing. It's just a lot more of a solid thing because I'm going between 3s and 4s in the count in this, and if you're doing odd times you may as well just have something that's nice and simple to offset that. We don't want anything too elaborate. So then we're back in the groove here. But I think that's quite a nice example of working through a song to find the best part, and that was found quite quickly, I think. Nice ending. So, you remember I said I couldn't find a guitar part for it. David Brewis decided, that's Peter's brother in field music, that's the two of them. There was just us three in the studio that day. Whoever wasn't playing was doing the engineering. So it was his turn. He came to put some guitar on it. He played his Telecaster and put down this guitar part, which astounded me. I still can't play it. It was improvised after a couple of listens through, and it added so much character to the song. Yeah, it started to sound like something field music would do, unsurprisingly. But if you listen to the part by itself, you can hear a few different influences in there. You can hear a bit of Prince in there, because I know he's a big fan of that. And it's great when you get such a mix of styles. It all contributes. So this is the guitar part. What I like about it, apart from the part itself, which is a mixture of like funk and kind of spacious rhythmic playing, and then a nice odd chord on the end as well. I like the sound of it. It's not quite clean and it's not quite dirty. It's just breaking up, just at that point of breaking up, which I think is a nice place for guitars to be. Part of what we were wanting to do, or certainly what David and Peter were wanting to do, was to look at putting as many different sounds on as possible without overdoing it and using everything quite subtly. So doubling part of that guitar part was actually David on the viola, which sounds like this. Which is again another lovely texture. Which adds something to the mix, not necessarily really up front in the mix, but it's there and it's a different instrument to have. The next thing that was added was slide guitar, and Peter played this using his Gordon Smith guitar. It was really cool what he did. George Harrison style, I think, another Beatles reference. But what was quite amazing was he then doubled it so it was in stereo, and it was quite accurate. Not exactly accurate, but enough. So that was something that came in between the other guitar parts that David had already put down and between where the vocal melody was going to come as well. So it's all about finding space. One of the most enjoyable parts of the day was recording percussion, and it was interesting to see how this was done as well. Within their studio, they were able to open a door into kind of a back room and which changed the sound of the room, of the recording room, kind of like acted as an echo chamber. So we did tambourine and claps, all of us with headphones on, just clapping away. We designed a part that would fit around the drum part. So by now we'd built up quite a part, and this was like I suppose a bit of icing on the cake. It really makes a difference though. So when it came to re-record this, I made sure that I had this quite high in the final mix. I think we overdubbed Cabasa on there as well. You can hear that. The placement of it, the leading into the clap, is what's really, really effective. Nice little trick. So by now we had a pretty much full demo. I think one of the last things to go on was the bass guitar, which David played on his Fender Precision, played with a pick. Let's have a listen to the full demo. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So there you have it. That was the demo for Understood. You heard a bit of backing vocals there. David stuck that in at some point, singing the word understood as a harmony to where the vocal melody was going to go. So, again, that's something that I kept that idea and worked on. Well, you can hear how it's progressing already, I think, from the original piano and drums thing. One thing that I really, really was impressed with was how quickly this came together, not just from a recording point of view, how quickly the parts were done, 1 or 2 takes, and then, that's it. That'll do, especially for a demo, I suppose. But I think in talking to the guys as well, they do like to work quickly. They like to have to keep the kind of the excitement and the freshness of the new ideas, as the first ideas that kind of come to you as being the right ones for the song. So that's something to bear in mind. I think that's a really good piece of advice as well. Sometimes the first ideas are the best. Now, I'm a procrastinator. I'm a king procrastinator. I dilly-dally and I dwell on things. And I sat on this demo for ages. I tried to recreate it once I got home to my own studio. And I think I moved studios 2 or 3 times, trying different versions of the song out with different people before I was getting anything kind of satisfactory. All of those parts that were played up in the field music studio, I wanted to recreate because I liked the parts. I wanted to do the song faster though. So, they would have to be replayed. So I got a couple of people in to do it. Dave Anson, now Dave Fox, came in and played the drums. I got my dad, Peter Castle, to come in and do the guitar parts. He did both the rhythm part and the lead slide stuff as well, and put a solo on it and some extra stuff as well. And I did the rest of the stuff. So shall we have a listen to what happened? Yes, let's do that. One of the first new changes to make to the song was to put a quiet sort of ambient panning, different sounding piano part as an intro, which would sort of again add mystery to where the beat was and where the beat was going to be established. That's what you can hear now. So I like having the distant kind of effect, kind of a quiet thing. So when the song comes in, there's a lot of impact after that. I also wanted to add and really, really emphasize the bass piano part. So in the left-hand speaker there, you can hear me doubling the bass piano part. I really wanted to make the middle section, as well as being harmonically different to the other part, I wanted it to be texturally different as well. So I was looking to add different textures. It was quite empty as it was. Being a lot slower, I thought I could put some sort of softer textures in. So this is one of the tracks that's in the middle section. This is the piano part played on Nord piano, but with a phaser added, quite an extreme phaser as well. This is definitely an idea that I think I've picked up from Todd Rundgren, to put a phaser on. Well, you can put a phaser on everything, just on the whole mix, but in this case it's just a phaser on the piano, and that's what it sounds like. Bit of a swirly kind of atmospheric sort of thing. And some other things that I wanted to put on the middle were an organ. And surprisingly as well, I put a synthesizer on, which was only intended originally to be a guide for the vocal melody, because it was a very specific vocal melody and I wanted it to be quite accurate. So I wanted a guide on there, so I was making sure I was hitting notes when I was singing it. But once I'd done that, I liked the sound of the synthesizer melody being underneath my voice. So I kept it on. And again, it's got that sort of early 70s Pink Floyd kind of thing, especially with the organ. It sounds sort of, when you hear it in this form anyway, quite spacey, quite prog, I suppose. Anyway, have a listen. I used the synth string sound as well in here from the Nord keyboard to give it that top line. That's like the crescendo of that part, and kept it on for the guitar solo. This is totally Dave Gilmour, isn't it? That clean Strat sound. That's a nice little discord on the end there, I like that. So before we get on to anything else, can you hear that sound? That sound is something that repeats throughout the whole song, and it's just me hitting the mic stand with the microphone. It's annoying, but I wanted something annoying in the song to just keep constantly reminding you of something. And so that's throughout. You can hear it poking through in the quiet moments. So that's what it is. Well, it's all been instrumental so far, so we better show you some vocals, I think. The first vocal part that I came up with lyrically as well was the middle section, the B section. And in keeping with the textures of what's going on with everything instrumentally, I wanted this to be quite processed, quite affected. So you can hear it's got a little bit of drive on it and quite a lot of delay and reverb. And I add some harmonies towards the end.
You and I are all we own, stuck beneath the buried treasure, flying someone else's kites, hoping for a change in weather, moving back and forth in time, dancing under our own pressure, knowing silence is the word to be understood, understood, understood.
That last but one in particular, the understood line, the harmony. I was singing that full voice. That was quite a strain. That was big harmony for me, that one. But I wanted to, that's at the crescendo, so I wanted it to have that. I did try singing full voice for the one above it, but it wasn't happening. So that's why I get falsetto on the top one. Another vocal which I have, which is just a very more traditional kind of 3-part harmony, is on the call and response part in the verses. What you gonna do with the money, baby? And that sounds like this.
What you gonna do with the money, baby?
It really is quite strange hearing these things out of context. And some of them are obviously out of tune and slightly out of time and a bit rough. But you stick it all together and it all works somehow. And as a variation on those 3-part vocals, I wanted something in the last verse as well, but I didn't want the words to be in there, I didn't want the lyrics, so I just did this.
We smile and plan a future, write books, but only in our minds. Rob banks and invent machines that can change the nature of these crimes. What you gonna do with the money, baby?
So that's where the song ends, and that's where the fade out is. And it fades into, again, the organ comes back for the ending, and there's and then that fades out. If you've heard the single version, what happens in the album version is the organ carries on for a little while and modulates and goes into another song. It's part of like a 3-song medley, I suppose, where you got this one song segueing into the next. Quite a nice thing. It's a reason to buy the album anyway, just to hear those 3 songs and the way that I've put them together. And the start of this song, you know, with that panned piano, that's part of that as well. This is the middle song of the 3, so it's all by design. Last thing to show you really is the bass. I haven't give you any bass yet. I tried a few different basses on this. David played his is Fender Precision on the demo. I haven't got a Fender Precision. I tried a Jazz on it, didn't like that. I tried a Rickenbacker on it. Character didn't really suit this, so I used my wall bass from the 1980s, and that sounded a treat. It's a really interesting bass guitar. It's got dual output. So the sound that you're about to hear is one output going to an amplifier, which was, of course, microphone recorded, and then the direct out going straight into the desk. The amp gives the warmth, and the direct sound gives the real twang and cut that you can hear in the bass guitar part. So that is all the audio snippets for you from the various recordings of this song, which has taken me a few years to put together and get out since I did that demo with Field Music. Big thanks to both Peter and David for their work on that. You've set me on a good path there. Go and listen to their stuff. It's amazing. Please do. Final thing I should probably tell you about this song is what it's about. Lyrically, it's quite bizarre, isn't it? On first account, some of the imagery is all over the place, and again, that's by design. This is about being new in. I won't say in a new relationship, but quite early on in an adult relationship where you've got over the initial kind of big romance of it, and you've settled down to reality, and you're in something together, the two of you. It's like two of you against the world, and you might be happy with each other, but you're not quite happy with your place in the world, and so you're wanting more. And this is about how the two people within that relationship maybe have different views about getting more from the world. One of them might want to work harder and invest, and the other one can only see winning the lottery or robbing a bank as a way to improve something. This may or may not be based on a real story. I'll leave you with that mystery anyway. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. This has been all about Understood by Emker Cel and the making of it. Thanks to Peter and David from Field Music for their demo. Thank you, Sea House Records, for putting it out. Thank you, Dave and my dad, for playing on it. Do visit our website at seahouserecords.com and look out in the very near future for my new album, You Are Everything You Are. I'll leave you again with the single version of Understood. Thanks for listening.
Life's hot on a Monday morning. You and I would rather be in bed. We go our separate ways and kill time on something else instead.
the sea.